Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this is a second part 2 of the vCenter installation and configuration video. In the previous video what we did, we installed Active Directory and DNS within server number 1, which is the Windows server. So in this server, and also we have created an A record for VCSA within DNS, and this A record will be required once we install once we go through the vCenter appliance installation. So here what we need to do is I need to copy the ISO on this Windows server, the vCenter ISO on this server. So normally if you don't have a vCenter, if you don't have the ISO for vCenter, in the video number 1 I provided a link, or you can anytime Google for download vCenter 6.7. It will directly take you to the VMware website where you have to create your ID, and once you create your ID, you will be provided a link where you can download the evaluation copy of vCenter 6.7 and vSphere Esxi host. So let's start with this. So I'm going to copy the ISO here, and then I'm going to start the installation from here. And during the installation, it will ask me for the IP address of Esxi host. Now the good practice would be that I create a host record for this Esxi host as well. Till now we haven't created the second Esxi host yet. Later on we are going to create a second Esxi host and then attach it to the vCenter. For now we have server number 1, which is Windows, second Esxi host, and on this Esxi host we will host our VCSA appliance. You will see that how it will be done, but for now I am going to create a host record for Esxi host in DNS. So here within the DNS manager, so if you're not here, so if you're following from the first video of vCenter, here I'm just gonna go here within my zone and create a host record for our Esxi host. So Esxi host record will be created with this name. I'm going to copy this name, and a host record is created. Also the PTR record is created as well. If I can go back here and refresh this, so I have both records created. Now we can connect to these servers by name as well. So now so our DNS part is finished. I'm just going to close down this as well, and within Active Directory, later on once we join our VCSA with Active Directory, then we are going to verify the account. So now the next part is that I need to copy the ISO for vCenter on this server. So for that I'm going to go back to my C drive and bring the ISO. So I have the ISOs here on my machine. I have the 3 ISOs, so 6.7 hypervisor, vSphere, and vSphere Esxi 6.7, Esxi 7. Later on we are going to install Esxi 7, but for now I am going to download or copy this on this server from where I can install. So let's wait for this to be copied, and again you can download this from the VMware website. I've downloaded that from the VMware website. It is an evaluation version with full features. Okay, ISO is copied, and all I need to do is to mount this ISO. So right click on this ISO file for vCenter VCSA. Actually you need to mount it. So mount simply means that it will become a disk in here within this. So this is now, so when you say it is mounted, it will become another disk. So C drive, D drive, and another disk for VCSA. That's what is called mounting. And you need to go into installer UI, actually VCSA, and okay, hold on, you need to go to Win32. I'm going to go to installer and Win32, and here we are going to find the installer link. So this is an installer for VCSA, and so once the installer starts we will follow the installation. And so as I said earlier that it is two-phased installation. In the first phase it will extract all of the files and asks a few basic questions. So what type of installation are you interested in? So I'm gonna just make it bigger screen. So would you need to install it, upgrade it, migrate it, or restore it? For now we are installing it. We're not upgrading or migrating this. So let's make it a big screen here, and here it will develop vCenter, set up vCenter. So we're gonna, so this is stage 1, this is stage 2, and this is the vCenter version is version 7. So I'm gonna just gonna proceed, accept the license, and here I am going to provide the Esxi host on which it will be deployed. So this is where I need to copy the server name. So server name, it needs the full name or the IP address. Full name meaning the FQDN means a fully qualified domain name along with your domain name. So just not just the NetBIOS name, but needs a domain name as well. So this is the name of the server. It will be connecting through this port, and I am going to use the root account. So why are we doing this, everyone? We are doing this because this appliance will be installed, will be made a VM. It will be converted to a VM. Appliance is always converted to a VM, and it will be hosted on Esxi 1. So this is why you are providing that Esxi name, and at the port on which it will be communicating with the port with the Esxi host will be 443. So let's continue. And here it is just giving us a warning for the certificate, and we need to just say yes. If you say no, then it won't be able to connect. So if you get that error, if you get that message, that dialog box, it means that you were successfully be able to connect to this. Now one thing to remember, that without making a DNS account, DNS record, you won't be able to go by name. In that case, from the previous window, you have to go by IP address. We are able to go by name because we created a host record right at the start of right at the start of this video. So you need to have DNS. So this is why you're going by name. Otherwise you can go by IP address as well. So here one more time, and here now it is asking what will be the name of your vCenter. So VM name, so VM name will be so this is the VM name that we want to be on the Esxi host, and the password so I'm going to use the same password 1 with exclamation. So remember the password and remember the name. Now when you install VCSA, it comes in these different installations. It can be a tiny installation, small installation, medium, and it all depends on what type of your environment. Here just keep an eye on that how much VMs you will be expecting in this vCenter. So 1000 VM, 35,000, because this is a vCenter, and on this vCenter there will be many Esxi hosts connected. So here it's saying that tiny environment is considered as when you have 10 hosts connected to this vCenter, or small will be if there are 100 hosts, not the VMs. So on 100 hosts there can be 1000 VMs on them. So for us it's a test lab environment, so I'm just gonna go with tiny. Tiny means just two vCPUs that requires 12 GB of memory, and the storage it will require for 14. So I'm just gonna go with tiny type of deployment, and next. So here it's saying not enough memory on the host. So it's saying not enough memory on the host for the size 12 GB, because minimum you need is 12 GB on that Esxi host. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it smaller, and I'm gonna try and give it more memory. So for that I'm gonna go to, we'll have to shut down this Esxi host and increase the memory. So I left the installation over there. I do have memory available, and but I cannot increase the memory because the VM is running. So I'm just gonna go and shut down, power off this VM, and edit this VM. And so it needs at least 12 GB of memory. I'm just gonna go here and go to the memory, go to 13 GB, 14. I do have a lot of memory available, so I'm just gonna go with 14 GB of memory and then start this VM. Now that the server is starting up, here it shows 13.9 GB memory, and most probably the error message that we are getting here should be solved, but I'm not sure that if I have to restart the installation. Most probably I don't have to restart the installation. I'll just click next, but I'll have to wait once the server is back. So server is started, and all we need to make sure that this is 13.9 memory available. I'm just gonna click next here and see that how it goes. So I'm gonna just close this. Next. It's not going through. I'm gonna go back one more time, go back here, and next it will try to connect again, validating, and provided this password, and this time it is going on. So okay, so now it is asking where do you want to install this VM. So the VM that you are going to install should have at least how much, 415 GB of memory. So I'm gonna go back and see that this requires 415 GB of storage. So even on that, here we will get an error message because we have two disks. One disk is of 32 GB, the other one is 99 GB. It won't. Okay, so what we can do is we can go with enable thin disk mode. Thin disk mode, what it does, that it will use the disk, and wherever it needs more disk requirement, at that point it will I mean, it can go with the minimum disk requirement, whatever the disk is required at the moment for VCSA. Let's try this. So it will go on. If you don't go with this option, then it will give an error message that it requires, you'll have to provide a disk that is at least 415 GB in size. So I'm just gonna go with change this, go with thin mode, because this is a test training purposes installation. So VCSA it doesn't require 415 right from the start. So here now the networking is, this is the VM network, IPv4 static IP address, and here the FQDN for the vCenter. So for the vCenter FQDN we will provide here, it's optional, but the IP address we must provide. So in this case the IP address is 40, and prefix is the subnet mask. And where am I getting the IP address for vCenter? This is what we have decided from our architecture. The vCenter IP address will be 192.168.10.40. and next. So at this point, is there, oh yeah, so there is default gateway is also required. We are going to provide 0 and nothing else. So here IP address and default gateway are not in the same subnet. Okay, so that's another requirement. Actually we don't need a DH gateway, but in this case, since it is asking for a DHCP gateway address, it should be in the same subnet, so that's why I just provided number 2. So, and that is done and finished. So this is part 1 of stage 1 of the VCSA installation. Once this is completed, then we will start configuring vCenter. So in this video, we have we copied the ISO on this vCenter, and then we mounted the ISO, and then we started the installation, and we had to also increase the memory size on Esxi host. Once this is all completed, in part 3 of this video, we are going to complete the vCenter configuration.